and which was a very interesting transition.
Yeah.
Because, well, there's a lot of things, and we won't get into that. But along with that, I have hobbies, and one of my hobbies is volunteering, particularly if you ask my wife. I volunteer to everything, to her dismay. And I have been a volunteer where I can practice my hobby of scuba diving. And I've been a scuba diver since 1988.
Wow.
So, what is that, 30 years?
Yeah.
And I get to go scuba diving almost every Saturday morning in a nice, controlled environment that lets me continue to do the things I love basically for free because I'm volunteering to do that.
Right. So how did the scuba diving relationship start?
Well, okay, I got married. I tell this story all the time, and I get a lot of frowns from my better half.
Of course.
Growing up as a kid, I kept fish. I was like one of these geeky kids that had fish tanks in his bedroom, under his bed, in his closet, in the dining room, wherever they would fit, and my parents kind of allowed me to do this. So I had fish tanks. When I got out of school and started living on my own, I had to give up fish tanks because a lot of landlords don't like having vessels of water that are going to break and flood their apartment buildings, right? So I kind of went into a little bit of fish remission.
Right.
And then I got engaged, got married, and my wife and I both worked downtown at the time. We both took the train to and from work together, and we would sit there and we would read the newspaper on the train because we had about a 45-minute commute, right? So we would read the paper in the morning, and whatever we didn't finish, we'd read it on the way back home.
Right.
Because you really can't talk on the train.
Right.
You know, the subway is too loud. There's a lot of outside noise. There's a lot of inside noise. So we would read. And about 6 months after we got married, we're going to work, and it's a Friday, and so there's the extra inserts in the newspaper. And in one of the inserts, which was like a social page, talked about volunteering opportunities in Chicago. And it was mostly focused on Lincoln Park Zoo. When I was in grade school, my political science teacher in junior high drove the zoo bus for Lincoln Park Zoo during the summer, because as a teacher, he had to do something in the summer.
Right.
And so I'm reading this article, and I'm thinking about this junior high teacher. I'm going, I could do what he did. That'd be great. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm reading the article, and I get home, and the next Monday, I call Lincoln Park Zoo. And unfortunately, they said, well, at this point in time, we're only looking for folks who can help plant flowers and other plants around the zoo to help with our horticulture department. I'm not a flower guy. I wouldn't have minded driving the bus, but I'm not a flower guy.
Right.
So I went back to that article. We hadn't thrown the paper out, and I looked at the bottom. There's a footnote of other institutions in Chicago that use volunteers. And one of them was the Shedd Aquarium. And so I went and I said, you know, I used to keep fish for a hobby when I was a kid growing up. What do your volunteers do? And their answer to me was, our volunteers do everything. I said, no, really, what do you do? And they said, no, you do everything. You can do water quality tests, you can help feed the animals, you can do food prep, we do guest services. Now, 30 years ago, the almost all institutions in the city of Chicago weren't as sophisticated as they are now.
Right.
So there was a point in time where I was a ticket taker for the aquarium, and you would purchase your ticket and you'd walk in and you'd hand me the ticket and I'd do the directions that you had to go. And now we have this whole counter system with computers and barcodes on your phone and things like that. But back in the day when it was simple, I used to take your ticket and then tell you where the exhibits were, where the bathrooms were, where the gift shop was.
Yeah.
One of the things they taught us right away was I was coming to the gift shop.
Yeah.
Right? So after 3 years of doing that, I became a diver for the aquarium. And I
just like talking with people, like the whole time, just letting them know
talking
your
to
interest,
people,
or did it like pop in? Like,
you know, I said I'd really like to start working with fish.
gotcha.
And the Shedd Aquarium has a very extensive diver program. They use volunteers in almost every exhibit throughout the entire institution. they need a lot of help.
Oh, yeah. It's a ton.
So I took scuba lessons, trained my first year volunteering, and then another 2 years went by before my name popped up on the diver list.
Wow.
I had to get obviously certified. I had to get experience, and then I had to go through presentation classes because they wouldn't want someone
Right.
talking to the public while they're scuba diving and not have an idea of how to conduct all those things
Right.
and still stay safe.
Yeah.
So there was a very extensive program that we went through, and I became a diver for the aquarium, and I've been doing it ever since. The best part about it is not the diving. The best part is talking with the guests who come to the aquarium after I've completed my dive, which is really funny because I've always thought it ironic, or absurd, I should say, that people want to talk to someone who's dripping wet.
Right.
And yeah, you get a little cold, but the interaction warms you, so you don't notice
Right.
that you're freezing cold. But you just sit there going, why? And kids want to hug me all the time. Why
The
do you want to
fish man.
hug the wet guy? It doesn't make any sense. But guests are wonderful to interact with. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what their expectations are, and it's just a rewarding experience each and every time. And to bring it back to networking, it's like that first time you go into a networking group. You don't know about the group, you don't know about the individual persons, and you just build those relationships.
Right.
The difference is when I am doing my diving, I have literally 5 seconds to make a good impression and create a nice relationship for those guests. Networking, you have a little bit more time. You can let people know about you a little bit more.
You have more opportunities, but
Correct.
you still have that quick burst
Yes.
of...
And before you ask, no, I have never been bit.
Yeah, because you're in the main one?
I'm in the Caribbean Reef exhibit, which is a 90,000 gallon exhibit in the